Today we are making this super cute daisy cropped top. Very easy to make. Everyone's all about the sunflowers and daisies lately, and I just thought this would be a really cute addition to your wardrobe. We're using acrylic yarn, about size 4. We're going to be using the yellowy gold for the center of the daisy, the white for the petals, and then we are going to be using a couple of different colors to create the edging around the flower. I wanted to incorporate a little bit more color into this project, so that's what I'm doing, but you can obviously do whatever you would like, whatever color combination you'd like to do. For this project, I'm using a size 5mm hook. And the other things you will need are a pair of scissors and some yarn needles. So to get started, we are going to make a magic circle. And we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. From there, we're going to make 11 double crochets all the way around this circle. So 1, 2, 11, and then 12, which includes that very first stitch. Is what you want is 12 double crochets all the way around. So now what we'll do is we'll pull this nice and tight. And don't worry about this tail, we'll thread it in at the end. And now what you want to do is you want to slip stitch into that very beginning chain 3. Slip stitch through that. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Got 12, we're good to go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the white. And I learned a neat trick a few years ago. Instead of cutting this off and kind of having an extra tail, what you can do is you can just pull this white through, and you can now make your chain 3, which is the start of this. Oh, I'm sorry, this should have been 4. So we chained 4 here, and now we're going to do treble crochets. So we're going to go back into that same slip stitch, and we're going to do 1, 2. I'm going to treble over again. 1, 2. Now you have three chains on your hook. Do it one more time. Whoops, sorry about that. You do 1, 2. Go back in, pull through, then you yarn over 1. Now you have 5 chains on your hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this 5th one you pull through all the way. And that's what's going to make your daisy petal. So from here, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go treble into this next stitch. 1, 2. You have 2 chains on your hook, 3 chains on your hook, 4 chains on your hook. Pull that 5th one all the way through. All right, so keep that pattern going, chain 3, and go all the way around. So we're coming up to our last stitch here. One, 2, 3. Pull all the way through. 1, 2, 3. And you're going to go into the 3rd treble here on that very first petal you made. Pull through, slip stitch it. All right, so let's just double check. We've got 12 here, very important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Cool, we're good to go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain one. I'm going to cut this. And now, look at that, pretty daisy. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this blue color and I'm going to start the border. So you can put this into any chain space you'd like. Because I've got this tail here, I'm going to put it through this one. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put 2 more double crochets into this chain space. 1, 2. And like I said before, I like to tuck these tails in as I'm working along. So I have these kind of spread thin so I can work them in. So we got 1, 2, 3. We're going to do 3 double crochets in the next chain space. 1, 2, 3. Now on the next one, we're going to make a corner. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 2. Oops. Chain 2. And do another 3. 1, 2, 3. So basically what that does is it creates an edge. Now we're going to do 3 double crochets in the next chain space, and again in the next chain space, and then we're going to do another corner. 4 corners total because we are doing a square. Chain 2. All right, so what you're doing now is you're going to make into this first 3 double crochets that you created, you're going to make another 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. You're going to chain 2, and you're going to go into the very top of that chain 3 and slip stitch. So just to make this a little bit bigger, I'm going to go ahead and do another border around this border. So we're going to do chain 3, we're going to turn it, and we're going to do 2 more chains. We're going to skip, go into the next one. 1, 2, 3. Go into the next one. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to go make 3 along the sides this time instead of 2 in between the corners, as you can see here. So then we're going to, into this chain space that separates out this former corner, we're going to go into that chain space. We're going to do 1, 2, 3. We're going to chain 2 and do 1, 2, 3. And that's now created another corner. Okay, we're going to go into the next chain space. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and make your corner. And do that all the way around, and I will meet you at the very beginning. All right, come into that very beginning. Just like last time, you're gonna go into that chain space. You're gonna do 1, 2, 3. You're gonna chain 2, and you're gonna go into the very top of that first chain 3. So here we have the final granny square of the daisy. And what I want you to do is make 11 more of these, because we're making 6 on the front and 6 on the back, and then we'll stitch them together. So yeah, this will count as 1. So 11 more using the same pattern. I will meet you guys again to stitch the first half, the front half of the top together. So I now have 6 granny squares that is going to be the front of the top. So what we're going to do now is we're going to attach each one to each other horizontally. So we'll be kind of attaching them like so, sewing them together, then I'll attach another one, sew it together. So what you want to do is cut off enough yarn to be able to sew this together. So I'm just gonna snip that. And we're gonna pull the two squares together. And I'm gonna get one of my nifty yarn needles here. Pull that through, tie it on the end here. And we're ready to get started. So I'd recommend having the right side, the correct side that you want facing, making sure that the correct side is facing both the outer sides. You want to go into the back loop of this chain space right here, and then you want to go into the back loop of this chain space. And then you're just gonna tie it. And don't worry about this sticking out. We're going to be creating an edge along here, so don't fuss about that right now. Okay, so then what you want to do is you want to go into the back loop of this first square and the back loop of the other square. Pull it through. Go through the back loop, into the back loop, pull through. Back loop, pull through. And finally, back loop into this back loop. And then what you can do is just tie this at the end. And like I said, don't worry about all these edges, these tails sticking out everywhere. We will take care of those at the end when we are creating. We're going to create a band here, so it's going to look good, I promise. So continue on doing that, attaching all of these with your string, and I will meet you back to start doing the bands around. So for this next step, you're going to want to create a border all around your granny squares. So what I recommend doing is starting in a corner, you're going to bring over your yarn and you're going to chain one, and then you're going to go back into that space and single crochet. Now in the next top loops here at the top of these double crochets, you're going to put one single crochet all the way across. And again, I'm tucking that tail, as I always do, through the yarn. And then when you get to where you've created your stitches, you're going to go into this one right before, and then you're going to go into the center. So you can kind of see, if I pull it a little bit, that there's a space that opens up. Just go right into the center there. The very next one, go into this opening chain here right before you come to your cluster, and just go through that and continue on. So when you come to the edge in this corner chain space, I want you to do one single crochet, chain one, and another single crochet. This kind of helps preserve that corner piece. Again, we're at that corner, chain one, back in. Okay, we're approaching the end of the work here. So just continue going down, making my one single crochet. When we come to the end, do one single crochet, chain one, and go into the very top of that first stitch. Slip stitch through, chain one, cut that off. Okay, now we have it all boarded. Looks beautiful. I already went ahead and did that for my other granny square top. So now what we want to do is we want to stitch these together. You want to line it up. And you want to provide yourself with enough yarn and you're going to do just what you did like last time. You're going to put this through your yarn needle, tie it around, line this up, and go through the backs. And on the last one, we're just going to pull it through, tighten that off. Give it a snip. There we go. We have one set piece. So from here, let's go ahead and get started on the half double crochet. And the reason I chose half double crochet is because we already have the single crochet here. I like how it's kind of tightening, it's neater. Adding big double crochets now, I don't know. I don't think it looks as good. So you can do whatever you want. If you want to do double crochets around, no biggie. It's not going to change anything. It's where this really comes down to personal preference and style. So I'm going to just add my half double crochet here. I'm going to chain one. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull through. And then all the way around, I'm going to do half double crochets. Okay, when we come to this edge here, gonna make one here, chain one, make one in the next one, just to try and preserve that square shape. All right, so like I said before, there's these holes here. You can go right in through the center. Then go into the next single crochet. So you don't run into the problem of the side here because you've already created a single crochet. So just so you know, it's just on the sides that you're gonna have to go into that center where you've sewn together two of the squares. All right, coming to the end here. Now what you want to do is just slip stitch into that first chain one, pull through. So now we've created the half double crochets all the way around. What we're going to do next is work on the sleeves. And for the sleeves, what we're going to do is start in the hole of where the chain one space is on the corners. And we're going to go across making single crochets up until the 16th stitch, which also includes that initial chain one space. So let me show you how we're going to get this started. So in this chain space, we'll take our yarn. So we're going to chain one, and then we're going to go back into that chain space, and we're going to make a single crochet. So that's going to count as your very first single crochet. From there, we're going to make single crochets across. So 3, 4, 15 and 16. All right, so we got 16 single crochets across. Now we're going to chain 3, turn our work, and into this next stitch we're going to make 3 double crochets. Skip 2, 3 double crochets. Skip 2, 3 double crochets. Okay, now we're coming up to the end of the row here. and you're just gonna skip that one and go make a double crochet into that very first stitch. So now we're going to chain 3, turn our work around, and we're going to skip over this chain space and we're going to go into the next one. And keep going across, making 3 double crochets in each chain space. So we're coming to the end. We had a chain space here. So we're going to make, we made that 3 double crochets into that chain space. We're going to chain 3, turn our work around, and continue making the 3 double crochets into each chain space across. And you're going to do this back and forth for 8 rows. And on the 9th row, you're going to do a row of single crochets to just cap it off. And I will come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, so we have just finished our 8th row of this project. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn it around. We're going to go back into that first space. And we're going to make 16 single crochets all the way across. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then you want to go into the top of this chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, 16. So now we have completed the set of the first set of straps. So what you're going to do is do the exact same thing on the other side. I will meet you back once we have that second strap done, and then we'll start working on the sides. So now that we have finished our straps, we are going to now work on the side straps to attach the front and the back. So what you want to do is turn to either side. I'm going to start with this side. Take your yarn, go into that chain space just like we've been working with before. Pull your yarn through, chain 1, and then make another single crochet into that same chain space and make 11 more single crochets, so 12 in total. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, so now we've created a single crochet along here. Just like on the straps, you're going to chain 3, turn your work into that very next stitch. You're going to make your cluster of 3, 2, 3. We're going to skip these 2, go into this one. 1, 2, 3, skip 2, 1, 2, 3, skip 2, do 1, 2, 3, and then in this final original first stitch, you're going to make 1 double crochet. Okay? So you should have 4. Chain 3, skip over this first set. 1, 2, 3. Keep going in the chain space across. It's just like we did for the straps, only we're going to be doing less rows. Go into that final chain space. Now, just like before, we're going to tie this off by chaining 1, turning our work, making 12 single crochets across. Gonna chain 1, snip off the excess, and there you have it. Now you have one side that you can then attach to the back. So create this on this side and create this entire top. We want to make a back of it. We're going to do the same exact thing. You're going to make your granny squares. You're going to make a border around each of them. You're then going to sew them together. From there, you're going to make a full border around all of the now stitched together granny squares. Then you will create your sleeve, your strap here and here. And then you will make your side straps here and here. And once you have done all of that, I will meet you back here to sew it all together and put some final touches on it. Hey guys, I just want to quickly pop in and say that if you are finding 2 sets of these side straps are too big for your waist, you can just make 1 and then have that go around your waist. This top is really meant to be for anybody to be able to wear it. So if you find that it's just a little bit too big, it looks a little, you can tell that your frame is smaller and it will be able to have this side strap go around your waist, then you can go ahead and just make 1. Just keep that in mind as you're moving on to the next steps. So what we want to do now is stitch all the pieces together. So turn your work so that the strings from the daisies are facing you. And we're going to sew these together like this. And the reason we're doing this is so that the hem is on the inside, so you won't see it when you're wearing it. It'll just look very smooth. So what you want to do is make sure that you're lining everything up correctly, and then you're simply just going to stitch back and forth. Now I've already put my yarn on my needle, so we're ready to rock and roll and get to it. Okay, so this is lined up. So from here, make sure everything's lined up. Looking good. And we're just going to go back and forth. So this very last stitch. We're going to tie a knot at the end there. snip it off. We just want to further trim these down so they're not sticking out. And you can leave them like that. Okay, so that's one side done. I'm gonna do the same exact thing on the other side. Again, make sure that your daisy with the tail is on the outside. Once that's done, you can just cut that. If you want to be really secure, you can tie it one more time. And then just snip off the edges. And for this one, you can just snip it as well. Now, the last part of the sewing process will be sewing together the sides. Same exact process as you did up here. For sewing the sides, you're gonna find a yarn long enough, which, do I have any scraps? I like reusing what I already have cut, but also I don't wanna make my life difficult. So if I need to cut another piece, I will. I think this will actually work. Let's see, I think this will work. I think it'll just make it. So just like before, you're going to line it up. Then you're gonna go through, sew them together. Now here you can tie it to the tail that's hanging out. So it's nice and secure. Just make sure I give myself enough extra. Don't wanna run out as I'm going across. So there. Now we've got a nice secure start. Again, make sure it's all lined up. Move that extra tail out of the way and start going back and forth. Come into our last one. And look at that, you guys. I had just enough. I love when that happens. Oh, that is very satisfying. I'm gonna tie it around again. Push that all the way to the base. All right. Then I'm gonna snip the end here. You can alternatively like sew that back in. That if you want extra security, but I find that this is also fine. And then we're gonna just snip the edges here. Look at that, beautiful. That is stitched together. And you're gonna do the same exact thing on this side. So for those of you who only have one strap on each side, I'm going to show you how to attach them. You should be working on the same side that you attached your top two straps. So basically the wrong side, and then you'll flip it over and then all the sewn pieces will be hidden. Now, I am going to use this yarn from around here. I'm going to snip that. I'm then going to put this through my yarn needle, tie it around. I mean, it's if you can see a pattern emerging here, it's really the same thing that you've been doing, but instead of joining together two straps, you're going to be joining this directly into the backside of your top. So there should be 13 stitches here. So just make sure you're beginning from the edge here. So just make sure you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you're gonna line these up, and that should be even. So here we'll pull this through the first 2. Again, we'll make our knot here. And we'll go all the way to the end. And for the last stitch, right here, I'm gonna pull that nice and tight. And you can even go back in again, make a double knot, pull that nice and tight. Now you can, you know, thread through if you'd like, or you can just cut it. Make sure this is short as well. And now you have it attached. So you can do the exact same thing on the other side. All right, you guys, we are almost done. So close. The very last thing we're going to do is we are going to tuck in the tails from each of these little center part of the daisies. Now, what you want to first do is put this inside out, because you want to just make sure that all of your daisies are really tight in the center. You don't want really large holes. So this one, I mean, it's not a large hole, but I'm just going to pull it, make it a little bit tighter, right? So any of them that you see that are just a little bit loose in the middle. So now what you're going to do is flip it back around. So you see how I'm just taking the yarn needle and actually going through the stitches. You can do as much as you want. I don't feel it requires too much. That's good enough for me. Snip that. Also going to snip this little guy right here. See, it's like not even worth it for me to try and get it back in the thread needle. So I'm just going to do it right here because I know it's not going anyway. So just keep doing that all the way around for each of your squares, and that'll be it. All right, my friends, this is the finished product. As you can see in these pictures, it just lays really nicely. It's super cute for the summer or for the spring. Put a little bandeau under it and you're ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if there's another type of project you'd like to see. I really love these daisies. I love flowers. So I would like to do more of these, and I think I have an idea of something I want to do next. And that's all for now. Thanks so much for watching.